It's always a pleasure meeting you all. Good morning and welcome to this other edition of your program entitled Week Review. Remember, the first part of this program does a recap of the news that ran throughout the week. In the second part of this program, we are going to receive our guest, who is no other person than Dr. William ARREY, who with me is going to analyze certain main topics of the week. And later, we are going to receive William Tadum, who is going to talk of the chronic. The last but not the least, we are going to have a segment entitled No Comment. Don't go far, we'll be right back after this pause. We begin this week review on a sad note. Official says around 300 suspected Boko Haram militant swarms onto an island on Lake Chad in Cameroon's far north region on Sunday and killed about 24 people, including 16 Cameroonian soldiers stationed at military outposts. The death toll in the district of Dakar is one of the worst atrocities carried out by Boko Haram in Cameroon, according to a military source. The assailants arrived in boats and attacked the islands. Meantime, the Minister of Defense, Joseph Betty Somo, has done a recap of the numbers of soldiers who were being killed. It should also be noted that 74 Boko Haram militants have been neutralized. We continue still in this your program of week review. The June session of the National Assembly opened this Monday. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Kavayege Jibril, has praised the Prime Minister for the success of his recent visit to the northwest and southwest regions of the country. He saluted the enticing John Gute style and method that give preference to direct contacts with the population, conveying proximity in the presentation of the head of state's peace officer. The plenary of the second session of the 2019 legislative year in Cameroon was another occasion to discuss on political issues of the country. Honorable Kavayege Jibril reacted to calls for the release of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement leader Maurice Kamto. He stated that the case involving Maurice Kamto will be tackled by the justice system at the right time and without any interference. In his opening speech, he equally outlined that there is an ongoing conspiracy against Cameroon with the aim of destabilizing the country. To him, the recent visit of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Michelle Bachelet, to Cameroon is an evidence that Cameroon has nothing to hide. On a lighter note, the House Speaker congratulated Cameroonians for the success of the 47th edition of the National Day celebration. The parliamentarian Joshua Ossi was speaking to Cedric Jongo. Here is the extract.
Well, once again we've come to Yaoundé for 30 days of parliamentary work, and the President of the National Assembly in his speech talked about the situation in the northwest and the southwest. I just want to caution him and the rest of my colleagues that we will not be part of a group playing the gallery and talking about that situation now. It's been 3 years we've been asking for this to happen. We are happy he finally talks about it, but we think that more needs to be done now than what we were asking for 3 years ago. And you know, Cameroon is in dire straits. Mismanagement of our public funds has made it such that the President of the Republic needed to sign out an ordinance to change the finance law that came out in December. We were hoping for a corrective bill of the finance law, but unfortunately Mr. Biya wanted to do it single-handedly. When he finished doing that, a couple of days later, Sonara, one of the breadbaskets of this country, burned down. So we hope he will not do a second ordinance to correct the first ordinance, and that he will finally have the courage to come and present a new budget to Parliament. We also have the new finance regime in place, which stipulates that during the month of June we need to have a budgetary orientation debate. And we really hope that for once the government will respect its engagements and that the people of Cameroon through the National Assembly will have that debate.
We We note that the June session is actually still ongoing. We continue still in this newscast. The non-governmental organizations United Nations entity for gender equality and the empowerment of women this Wednesday organized a ceremony at the Jega Hotel. The aim of these 2 days come together is to improve the protection of women and girls affected by the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Moreover, in order to do that, 5 implementing partners had been selected, among which the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family, the General Delegation for the National Security, just to name a few. To this end, UN Women, by this launching ceremony of the project and the training of trainees to protect women and girls affected by the conflict, want to secure these victims. The Minister of Women Empowerment and the Family, Marie-Thérèse Abenaondwa, was present at this ceremony.
Kids are given by partners in development, and it is in support of government actions, because government alone cannot handle the population in need. So any partner who is assisting us is more than welcome, and we are extremely grateful. And last week we carried out a very important activity on Thursday last week to hand out some support to internal displacees. We could not satisfy everyone, and every time a partner comes and assists us, today we are with UN Women and the Italian Cooperation. We are extremely grateful, and activities are ongoing with the Minister of Territorial Administration, who is really in charge, and all these are combined activities to really assist our brothers and sisters, our children in distress in the 2 regions.
2 days of full training for a pool of 20 trainees on women and girls' rights protection in crisis was organized, and a report produced at the end. Equally, we should note that the training manual of the police and defense forces on gender-based violence was reviewed and updated according to the new penal code. The internally displaced persons present at this ceremony expressed their satisfaction.
Since I came in Yaoundé, life was very difficult for me with my children. But I thank God I have people that they were supported me with my children. I am very happy for what Madam Minister have done for us here in Yaoundé. I'm very grateful. What I wanted to say, I really need peace. Let peace come in Cameroon, because Cameroon, it is a peaceful country. Peace will reign in our country. The people that are living in the bush, we want that they should come out. They should come out. They should not stay in the bush.
As you've seen, that is one of the internally displaced persons actually pleading for the crisis ongoing in the northwest and southwest regions of the country to stop. The dedication ceremony of the book entitled Democratic Rotation in the Head of State's Position in Africa took place last Friday. The book of 174 pages, written by Professor Celestin Tagu, talks of the political transcendence and transformation of ethno-regional conflict in divided societies. Professor Celestin Tagu was speaking to the press on the occasion of this dedication ceremony. Let's have a view.
This book written on the democratic rotation at the head of state position is bringing in the discussion new epistemological and theoretical perspective. The first one is we try to clarify the concept, the fundamental concept at stake in the upcoming or the next coming dialogue. When we are going to sit around the table to dialogue, we have to be able to use the same concept and by meaning the same thing. Otherwise, we'll be talking side by side, not understanding what we are saying truly. So I make it clear the difference between an ethnic group, a tribe, the so-called people in a state nation, and then a clan, and what is the difference between ethnic and nation state, and how democracy can bring all this together in less conflictual society.
Conscious of the fact that Cameroon and Africa at large are faced with some problems, notably the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, Professor Tagu went ahead to write this book. Right now, Professor Christopher was equally answering to some of the questions of the press in relation to this dedication ceremony. Let's have a view.
Coming from the sociological point of view, the main issue is just as I have put it. We are today faced by conflict of diversity, and being faced by conflict of diversity, we have to look for a way to manage it and then to transform the situation. Diversity is not a problem. Pluralism is not a problem. Difference is not a problem. The problem is how do we govern diversity. And that is why he has come up with the issue of a rotative democracy, where since African states are constituted of distinct communities, as you can put them, or put them ethnic groups in other countries, clans, so how do we, which mechanisms can we put in place so that each clan should feel accepted, respected, and recognized in the country where we are. And so he is using the example of a rotative democracy. Secondly, he has brought up the issue of power sharing. And when we talk of power sharing, he made mention of certain positions, the top positions of the country. They should not be limited only to particular groups of people, but should be rotating so that each and every clan in the country should feel accepted, recognized, and respected.
The dedication ceremony, we should mention, went on in the presence of many professors and equally students of different institutes. The Minister of Arts and Culture, Pierre Ismaël Bidumpat, this Thursday, proceeded in the installation of the Commission of Art and Letters. The ceremony took place at the Arts Contemporaine at Yaoundé. The main objective of the creation of this commission is to evaluate the demands for Cameroonian artists. One of the members newly appointed was speaking to Emmanuel Elundu.
We are going to evaluate fiction books, we are going to evaluate music, drama, and even, how do you put it, festival, and all those who are interested in creating and producing.
This new commission created will help better to tackle the problems artists faced in the country. The first edition of the Forum of Quality Infrastructure has been launched this week under the supervision of the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development. From the 12th to the 14th of June, many activities were organized in order to boost the quality in infrastructure in our country. One of the members was speaking to Sedik Jongo. Let's have a view.
We are looking for quality. You will admit with me that in our current process of industrialization of our country, quality is at the center. At the center because it is becoming an important requirement both at the international and at the national level. For our products which are made in our country to be competitive, they must meet up with quality at the level of international level, both at the local level. And that's why the government is putting in place all the measures by signing accords with the European Union, by putting in place a law on quality, by putting in place institutions like ANOR that have to control quality to ensure that our products have the quality that is required and that our products can be competitive on the market.
It is curious that it is in 2019 that we are having a forum of this nature. Where was the missing link?
There is no missing link. I think the question of quality has always been at the center of our industrial production. This is carried out, as I said, by putting in place a legal framework. This has been done in our country. There's a law on quality control. There are institutions on quality control, and the Ministry of Mines, Industries and Technological Development is involved with inspections which go on annually. there's a National Commission on Inspections that carries out inspection in various companies to ensure that the qualities is the required quality.
Thank you very much.
In this week's magazine, we decided to lay focus on plastic art, which seems to be neglected here in Cameroon. To this effect, an expert in this domain talk of the difficulties they face in exercising this job in Cameroon. Plastic art, we all know, are forms which involve physical manipulations of a plastic medium by molding. Less often, the term may be used broadly for all the visual art. Materials used for this art are often very rare in the market. Nevertheless, some Cameroonians are still very interested in this form of art. Here is an extract.
Plastic art that you are seeing is something so very, very important, and for those who are doing it, I just like those people who are doing it, because those things like that, when they do it, they are selling it and they have a lot of money because of those plastics. And I really like it because every time that I'm going to the town, anytime I'm going to town to because I'm doing the business of sand, I used to look at it. The one of Chantal Biya, the one of the president of the Republic of Cameroon. And I had the money one time, I just bought the one of my best football player that I like, Samuel Etofis, and I put it in my house, and it's so very interesting in the house.
You heard him well. He's so interested in plastic art. He had his money and he bought one of his favorite player. We continue. Pupils of classics and cours moyen 2 respectively wrote the first school living certificate exam and the CEP this Thursday. For 2 days, students writing the first school living certificate in Yaoundé were present at the different centers at about 6 a.m. in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Some pupils from school that closed down were redeployed in other centers. Some parents have been seen escorting their children to the examination centers. The pupils are now awaiting their result. For those who will succeed in the subsystem of education, they will be promoted 2 from 1. Here we move on to the second part of this program, which is sports. Here we are in sport. Canada beat Cameroon 1-0 at the opening World game, scoring 3 points. Kadesha Buchanan of side Lyon scored seconds before half-time whistle with a header from a corner, effectively blowing the win out of Cameroon sails in North Americans' dominated positions and overwhelmed Cameroon with 12 shots on goal to just 4 reply. Canada's Christine Sinley, scorer of 181 international goals, was 3 goals away from breaking the record for the most international goal scored at little luck in front of the goal. Meantime, the girls of Alem Genfak are in intense preparation ahead of the Saturday's match against Netherlands. We remain in sport. Vincent Aboubakar will not take part in this upcoming African Cup of Nations. Aboubakar, who scored the winning goal as the Indomitable Lions lifted the continental title in 2017, could not pass a fitness test due to the niggling injury, eventually missing out on the squad. The FC Porto striker is the only notably absent from coach Clarence Seedorf's 23-man squad, which is in the camp for the preparations. The 27-year-old has had a year to forget as he sat out of the majority of the session following an injury he picked at the start of the season. Seedorf has given 11 players their debut in the national team squad, including Ajax Adre Onana, who start in the Champions League. So we wish the Lions success in their preparation ahead of this match. We remain in sport. UMS of Loom are the winners of the National Elite 1 football playoffs, scoring 10 points. The finals, which opposed Cotton Sport of Gara, ended up by a draw match. Cotton Sport of Gara ends up second in this competition with 10 points. For the League 1 championship, 3 clubs maintain their position, and 3 clubs of League 2 have lost their position. One of the players expressed satisfaction at the end of this victory.
Satisfaction of joy that we have. We just have to be very joyful today to have this title of champion. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for us. It wasn't easy for UMS. It wasn't easy for everybody. But today I think our teammates and I gave the best of what we have. So we just have to be satisfied and thank God for the title. Voilà, je pense que notre force aujourd'hui a été la solidarité. Voilà, on a été très solidaires du début jusqu'à la fin. Je pense que c'est ça qui nous a donné la force d'aller jusqu'au bout.
Sorry for that little part that was done in French. We continue, we remain in sport, but this time around we talk about American football. The first internship session for the American football took place this Saturday at Bastos for the first edition. 18 participants were present for the training, among which students and physical education teachers, just to name a few. During 4 days, the participants were enlightened on basic techniques of the American football. At the end of this training, the director was very satisfied with the performance of those who took part. He was answering to Marina Govina. Yeah, it's his extract.
Present myself?
Yes.
Hi. I'm Brad Bell. I am the director of the American School of Yaoundé and also a football coach. And so I am happy to be here. I'm from the United States. I've been in Cameroon now for almost 2 years, and I've been working with the Football Association for about 2 years, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of the folks in Cameroon to get to know the American sport of football. So I'm very thankful to be here.
Comment avez-vous trouvé cette formation, alors les participants, comment est-ce que vous les avez trouvés?
How did you find the participants? I found them wonderful. They're very receptive, very open. It's a wonderful opportunity to coach the game of football, especially to people that want to learn. And what I found from the participants is they are willing to learn, they want to understand the game, and they want to take it back to wherever they live, wherever they work, and that's a tremendous attribute to the game of football.
Est-ce un bilan satisfaisant?
Are you happy with everything? What assessment do you give to the clinic?
Yeah, I think I'm very pleased with the progress. You know, we've just started. Football is a complicated game, but one of the things that we got done these past 3 days is we've been able to work on the basics and the fundamentals that everybody can take back to their homes and teach to all of the young kids or the young women or the older men. It doesn't matter, but they understand the fundamentals, so I'm really pleased with the progress that we've made.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Here we are in the second part of this program entitled The Guest. Today we are going to receive Dr. William ARREY, who is a peace actor. Before then, let's have this transition. Good morning, Dr. William.
Good morning.
We are very happy having you here today with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're always welcome. You are the head of Department of Peace and Development at UPAC. Am I right?
Yes.
And you equally teach in many universities of renown, and someone being at the African Pan-African University.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Surely also you took part in the dedication ceremony of Professor Celestin Tagu last Friday. He was at UPAC at the conference hall where they dedicated a book entitled Democratic Rotation. Yes, you have the book. You can just show it to the camera. Yes, that is a book. That is a book entitled Democratic Rotation in English. So that is it. And surely you've read the book also.
Yeah, for sure. I've read the book, and I took part in the book launch as the moderator. I read the book with a lot of interest because there are so many things that the author is trying to propose as a way of ameliorating our governance and again our democracy in Africa in general and Cameroon in particular.
Well, that is good. I too was present at that dedication ceremony. It seemed very interesting. It seemed very interesting to actually see these measures that can be used to actually remove our country from this crisis, notably the one in the English regions, that is the northwest and in the southwest regions of the country. But there is one question I ask myself: do you think democratic rotation can actually solve our problem? Is it possible, first of all, here in Cameroon? Is it possible?
Thank you very much for this question. Before actually addressing this question,
yes,
I will first of all like us, if you carried out a vivid analysis of the conflicts that are happening in most African countries,
yes,
and Cameroon in particular. We will notice that though there are multi-dimensional factors that contribute to this intrastate conflict,
yes,
but the key, or again, the root cause is around issues of exclusionary governance.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, what Professor Tagu is doing, he is proposing a policy of rotation in office, as a way of solving this exclusionary governance, because
yes,
you see people, like you said, about the northwest, the crisis in the northwest and the southwest. You can see there are issues of politics of belonging and recognition. People want to be adequately recognized in many aspects and so on.
Yes.
So by proposing, rotating in high office, it means he really wants to advance even the principle of representative democracy and inclusion.
Yes.
Well, to say now that to what extent is that possible, that is another aspect of it. But to be honest, these ideas are very, very good ideas. But the possibility of it will all also depend to what extent, for example, the state is convinced about this kind of democratic model.
Yes.
Where we will have it's a way of celebrating unity in diversity. Everyone wants to feel part of the national cake, right? But also the issue is that in Africa, in Cameroon, for example, we have the impression that if, for example, somebody from your own village or somebody from your own region is appointed minister, prime minister, it means that through him you will get your own part of the national cake.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in effect, the poor villager might not receive any material benefit, but that psychological satisfaction that somebody from my area is in the high office. So somehow this can help to even prevent conflict to an extent.
Why do I still remain convinced that this practice can actually be possible in other countries but not here? I'll take an example because the first president, Amadou Ahidjo, was from the north region. Mm-hmm. And here we are now here in the center region. That's the second president, President Paul Biya. The first president, we cannot even count the numbers of years he actually lasted in office, but he actually gave out the post to the new president, that is President Paul Biya. Right now we are in the center region. It seems like he doesn't even want to leave. So right now, he is a person actually that can coordinate everything. He's a head of state. He's a person that can help us to actually take that concept of democratic rotation and put into practice. Right now that he doesn't want to leave, how is that going to be possible? So I still ponder, I still ask myself, how will that democratic be possible here in our country?
This is very.
I come back to the same question.
This is really very, very interesting. I want to say that he doesn't want to leave could be an understatement.
Yeah.
Could be an overstatement. I'm sorry. It could be an overstatement to say he doesn't want to leave. I want to strongly believe that if a leader is in power, politically, he has been voted by the people, right?
Yes.
But if it happens that the leader is staying for so many years, we can't really say that the leader doesn't want to leave. What is clear is that when the time,
to be a leader,
what is clear is that when the time to leave comes,
yes,
that leader will certainly leave.
But I think when you're a leader, normally, you should try to give the opportunity for others to show what they're capable of. Let's take the case of America. Let's take the case of other countries.
Yes.
We cannot count how many president America has had, and us, we just had the second president. So actually, I'm still pondering. I don't even think it's possible.
Yeah, you can say.
I love the concept, but
yeah, you can say that, and you can also have your worries in terms of the possibilities of implementing this policy. But I want to say, because when you take example the cases of America and so on, I want to say that is actually where the problem lies, right? And that is what the author is trying, let's say, to fight against this kind of orientation in politics, where he calls it here copy and paste. We don't have to copy from elsewhere and paste in Cameroon. That is where the problem lies. When you copy and paste, then somehow it may not be compatible with our own socio-cultural and even political context.
Yes.
So the same liberal democracy could be working for the United States, for France, and so on, but may not be working here. So if you observe, you see around, you see we are practicing that democracy here. But instead of the fact that we know democracy has to bring us peace and development, we say at the end of the day, post-electoral crisis and so on, we are instead experiencing the negative effect of that democracy. So we ask ourselves the question, why so? Meanwhile, this very democracy is working elsewhere in the Western world. So there is an issue of incompatibility and differences even in political culture and so on.
So let's assume it's possible. Let's assume this concept can actually sort us out of many things. How is it going to be practiced? How is it going to be put in practice?
If we want to assume, first of all, I want to say that we live in a multi-ethnic society and multicultural society. And I think this policy is actually a strategy, a political mechanism to try and manage diversity. You listen, Professor Saw was saying that the problem is actually not diversity, but the problem is, he talked about governance, but I would say management of this diversity. So how do we manage this diversity? According to him, by implementing this policy, then it could be possible for us, right, to maintain a kind of national identity without necessarily erasing ethnic, collective, or again, ethno-nationalism.
So who are those responsible to do that?
What is clear is that we can't do without the state. We can't do without the state. Right?
Yes.
Whatever policy we are making for the people, it has to work for the people. But the people themselves cannot implement this policy. This has to be implemented by the state. And how do we go about that? The first key thing is, even according to the author, and I strongly believe that, is through the Constitution. This is the book that guides our action, our
But
politics.
we have been noticing that there are many persons that get involved into this political scene. You find out that nowadays even some journalists decide to get into all of this matter. So we don't really know who to address maybe our problems or our inquiries to. You said it's a government that's responsible to do that. But we find out that there are many other persons that just get involved. They come and they just carry on a different speeches. What can be done in order for the right persons actually to take their duty at hand? Because I've noticed that it's just going everywhere. Everyone come and says what he has, what he or she has to say.
I think we are living in a democratic society.
Yes.
And everybody feels free to say whatever they want to say, right? And everybody also feels that or thinks that their solution is actually the best. But still, I want to say whatever thing that is being said, the government has to be convinced that what you are saying
Yes.
is right for the country, is right for the people. If the government is convinced, I think we have national policy stakeholders who are concerned with these things. They follow all the news, they follow all the debates,
Yes.
and for sure, they wouldn't ignore everything, and they will also not take everything. Are we getting it?
Yes,
This
we're
is a
getting
policy that has been proposed, right?
Yes.
If Mr. President, His Excellency Paul Biya, is convinced that there are some ingredients in this book that can be implemented in our constitution and in other policy documents, why not consider? I think that it is possible that he considers certain aspects, right?
Yes.
But the key, or again, the heart of the matter, to talk about rotating democracy. Let's say in the high office.
Yeah.
We should also define what high office or which high office. Is it the office of the president? Is it the office of the prime minister? Or the ministers and so on, right? And the complexity will depend on which kind of office we're talking about.
So let's remind the televiewers that you're actually a peace actor. So as a peace actor, what role do you think women have to in the ongoing crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions? Because we have been noticing many organizations they are taking in hand these women and girls that have been displaced from their homeland. So what role does a woman have?
Yes, I'm happy you're talking about what role does a woman have. First of all, we want to see that women are already actors, not only in the peace process, but
Yes.
also in the conflict as well. Most of the times, they're even the principal victims, even though sometimes they can be perpetrators as well. So now, if we are looking for solution, this solution has to be inclusive, which is actually part of this book as well. Inclusive democracy, what he will call here rotative democracy, where everyone wants to be represented, to be part of the national cake. So now, if women are most of the times the victims and sometimes the perpetrators, meaning that they also have to play a key role in the peace building,
process.
The women, at the same time, they are the wives of maybe some of the men who are involved in this conflict. At the same time, they are the mothers of those youths involved in the conflict.
You know, we last time we listened to one of the report of our colleagues from Canal 2, where in Douala, most precisely in Bonaberry, there is one snack bar called Kwasha Kwasha. Yes, I would say it like that, where we meet some young girls, 19, 18 years, even 17, where they do prostitutions. And after the interview, we discovered that these girls are from the either northwest or southwest regions of the country because they flee from their homes. Rather, their homes were burnt or they lost their families. It's very pathetic. So that is why I really have to ask, what can a woman do? Because it's getting alarming. And knowing fully well that a woman is a mother of the nation, she has a great role to play. And this role is not really materialized. I think maybe the government has not really seen the essential of women in this fight.
All what I can say is that women have to be put at the center of conflict analysis and peace building processes. That is what I can say. They have to be included. Women are very important in every domain in our society, and especially as far as this crisis is concerned. Just like yourself, you have said, you know, they are affected. Some of the young girls are getting pregnant, are becoming prostitutes, and so on. So which means that we need their voice. Government should devise strategies to include women, and not only women, but young girls.
So, Dr. William, as a peace actor, when you look at the situation in the Northwest and in the Southwest region, what do you think can be done? Because last time the minister was there, especially in the Northwest and the Southwest, in order to talk with the persons to see if negotiations is possible. But we say weeks after that, we are not really seeing anything that is moving. For me, just as if I put it on a standby, no signs again. So it seems like we throw water on deaf ears. What's actually going on? Can dialogue solve the problem? What do you think is the solution?
Yeah, I think the only thing is really genuine and democratic dialogue. It's just unfortunate that we could say the dialogue is coming a bit late. You know, people have been so much soaked in this conflict and the consequences and so on. But the solution is genuine and democratic dialogue involving all the conflict parties.
Involving all the
conflict parties.
And we talk about the conflict parties, who are they?
Well, talking about the conflict parties, we already know we have the Anglophone community, but especially we have, let's say, the non-state armed groups, which are generally called the secessionists or the terrorists. These are terms I don't like to use. I prefer to use the non-state armed groups. And for sure, they have their grievances. They are bent on separation. We ask ourselves, why separating? This kind of attitude was not there before. Why all of a sudden I want to separate? Are you no longer part of the family? So it's only, like I said, it's only through the dialogue, and the father of the family is actually the state. Bring the children, like what the Prime Minister did, go in there, meet the children, what can we do together? So I think...
Thank you very much for that, Dr. William. You know, in our last edition, we received the senior journalist, Eric Tinje, who actually said dialogue is a solution, but just that we have to break all the different parties involved in this conflict so it can be solved once and for all. We thank Dr. William for coming. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you very much once more.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So we are going to continue. Remember, we remain in the second part of this program, but this time around we are going to take William Tadum for that favorite part, you know, the chronic. Meantime, let's have this transition. If you're just joining us, you're watching your favorite program known as Week Review, that program that does a recap of the news that went throughout the week, that program that analyzes main topics of the week. And right now, we meet William Tadum. Good morning.
Good morning, Melda.
How do you do this morning?
Like I always used to be, very fine this morning.
Well, it seems you're a little bit tired.
No, I'm not tired. It's just that just like this morning.
So what are we going to talk about
today? We are going to talk about justice. We are going to talk about justice because we all remark that our justice is very sick.
So let's go on.
Yes, let's go on. Our justice is sick. What we have to notice is even before the creation of state, I mean before the state's notion, justice was already a part of man's life, and a part of man's life in the community. But it is also clear that the state has been created, or the states have been created for justice be realized.
Yes.
And if we consider that justice, act and behaviors are kings, virtues,
yes,
it just means that most of us or not most of us, you and I, but most
So
of
involves everybody.
people that are involved in justice universe seems to be slave. I'm saying that if justice act and behaviors are kings virtues, most of those people seems to be slaves. Justice in our country
Yes.
is supposed to be a machine, but what we observe is that machines seems to be damaged, machines seems to be useless. Why? For has been at least a victim of our judiciary system.
Yeah.
No one needs, again, inquiry to be able to recognize that the justice system is a tool used in a wrong way.
So it's something that is used in the wrong way
Yes.
in Cameroon?
Yes. Let me explain you why.
Go on.
Justice in this country seems to be just for rich people.
Wow.
Yes, someone believing that justice is not said for the right and by the right. Because sometimes the verdicts are not independent. Naturally, it seems actors of justice universe are not independent too. It is known that justice of this country is spoiled by the reign of money and ugliest collaborations. The judiciary world
Yes.
seems to be a corrupted universe.
Corrupted universe?
A corrupted universe or a corrupted sector of the nation. Compromission of those who are supposed to say the right is already known because no one believes again in our justice. The phenomenon has turned into a rule now. So when someone goes in front of the justice, he in himself he has already a position, knowing that I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do.
I'm just doing that.
But in fact, I don't really think that I'm going to have what the justice is. I'm not
Justice
going to
is not going to be done.
Yes, I'm not going to do the answer which is supposed to be delivered won't be delivered, but we don't go. We have many cases for formalities, and it is considered now as a rule, as a perfect law, adopted as a credo for the biggest part of the justice machine. Permanent corruption and deontology constant violation factors. Permanent corruption and deontology constant violation are factors that indicate that the judiciary system is no more available. That is why some citizens are saying that we are no more in democracy. Because when we talk about democracy, justice must be
must be at the first plan.
Yes, as the first plan. But when we don't believe no more in justice, it means that if I have an issue with you and if I have money, democracy wants the justice to give me the reason and to tell you that you are wrong and that I'm right.
That I'm right.
But if I'm the one who has power and due to that the justice is no more free because I'm putting pressure on justice, it means that the justice has just one direction, and we are no more in democracy. That is why I'm talking about what people are saying and what we used to see in the society. It seems that due that the justice is no more justice, we are no more in democracy.
So can we sort out certain cases of injustice in our societies if we were to talk about that?
Cases let's talk. I have just one case in my mind, but I don't know if I have to mention it here. We have the case Mr. Messi with his Xbox.
Okay.
And,
so yes, Mr. Xavier Messi.
Yes.
Actually, we all know about that case.
Okay.
William.
What I would like to say as conclusion is that when there is no justice, there will be no development.
So you heard him well. When there is no justice, there's actually not going to be a development in our country, if I get you well. So let's take the other segment of this program, which is known as No Comments. And it's on this fruits danza we're going to put an end to this lovely program. 52 minutes are very interesting. We thank William Tadum for his chronique. We actually thank Dr. William who took out his time to come and explain to us the meaning of democratic rotation. We actually thank Mathieu Tanye, Vanessa Balegok, Cedric Nanga, and equally William Kanga. Definitely there are many Williams in this house today. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Catch you next Saturday when it's going to be 10:30 a.m. Bye bye.